Ora kato. Welcome to the final edition of the Hot Air Sports Podcast for 2023.
Is it 2023?
Welcome aboard and Merry Christmas to me good mate Mahona.
How are you, buddy? Ho, ho, ho.
Ho, 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 and all that rot. All that rot.
Compliments of the season to you, mate. Happy Hanukkah,
Yes.
happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
Quite right. Yep. Happy holidays. We don't want to offend anybody.
No, everyone just enjoy your time off if you've got any, if you're lucky enough to have any.
Yeah, quite right. And there's going to be no talking politics in this next wee while. Because, we won't say how much the country's going to wreck and ruin.
No, this is our Christmas gift to you all. A little bit of hot air talking sports for the next hour or so, right?
Quite right. Well, Liverpool are having a different season this year than they did last season,
yeah,
mate.
Man.
And we'll talk about both in my highlights and lowlights, but good win over West Ham yesterday to get into the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. Looks like it's going to be another Liverpool-Chelsea final.
Yeah, man, I was really worried, yesterday's game. I mean, we've been playing so badly, really. I mean, we've been winning games, but playing terribly. That 0-0 against Manchester United stunk the place out. It was a horrible game of football, wasn't it, really?
It certainly was.
But yesterday, we were back to we were just humming, weren't we? I mean, West Ham didn't offer much, did they? Sorry, Anthony Hickey and other West Ham fans out there, but no, they were just absolute mud, and we just looked the business. And Curtis Jones in midfield running it. I don't think Gravenberch has got a chance of getting back in the side if Curtis is going to play like that, mate. He looked quality to me. I mean, we need him in the midfield, especially if we're going to play that double pivot. I just think he's so vital for our team. And
that's actually saying a lot, because I actually thought Gravenberch has been playing all right.
I just think he's rangy and everything, but he just defensively, he doesn't do anything. He doesn't win any headers. I don't know. I just think he's got a lot of improving to do. I think he shows up. He shows up in the games where we're playing like Leicester and Union St. Gilloise, like the lower league team. But when we play the top teams, I just think he could do better. He's a bit like Pogba, you know. It's just Jurgen Klopp said he'd never sign a Pogba. Well, I think he might have got one. But anyway, I'm hoping that Jurgen Klopp can sort it out. But it's Arsenal on the weekend, mate. That's the big one, isn't it? Who's going to go into the Christmas break on top of the table? It's 1 versus 2. Do you know when the last time Arsenal won at Anfield, mate? This is a very interesting question for you.
Ooh, probably when you were there.
Exactly right, man. That was the last time they won. Was the first time I made it to Anfield in 2012. 11 years ago was the last time that they beat Liverpool. So I'm not going this weekend. So
that's good.
They got a real good chance of winning. It should be a bloody good game, mate. It should be a bloody good game.
I don't know if you remember, just 2 years later than that game, it was the season 2013-2014 when we came so close to winning the title, and Arsenal came to Anfield, and I think at that stage Liverpool was 1 and Arsenal was 2.
Yep.
And it was a bit of a 2-horse race at the beginning of the season. And after 20 minutes, the score was Liverpool 4, Arsenal 0.
Absolutely.
We went on to win 5-1.
Smashed them, didn't we?
Just absolutely blew them off the park.
We had the SAS up front, didn't we? We had Sturridge, Sterling, and Suarez. We had all of them. It was fantastic. I mean, the football we played that season, I mean, how can you forget, mate? Of course, Steven Gerrard, the slip and all that sort of thing. Man, that was a long time ago. And I wonder whether Mikel Arteta's out there playing the You'll Never Walk Alone with the speakers while they're practicing. I mean, he obviously he's got a little. I think we're living in his head rent free. He's always talking about us, isn't he? He's always talking about it. So I don't know. Either way, it should be a cracking game. They're in fine form. We're in good form now. Pretty much, we've got a fit team, other than Andrew Robertson, who's been out for a long time. Man, and Jota, of course. But I mean, who are they missing? Is Sucker's playing, isn't he? Are they missing any players? I don't think they're missing too many. So it should be. There should be goals. There should be goals.
There usually is. It's going to be an interesting game. I mean, that, as you said earlier, that 0-0 draw. Well, I mean, we absolutely annihilated them, but just couldn't score.
Yeah,
34 shots to 6 or something.
Crazy, eh?
Something like that. And I noticed Roy Keane got upset when Virgil van Dijk thought there was only one team there trying to play football, and
he goes, he's arrogant. He's arrogant. How can he say that? He's arrogant. He's being arrogant. And I was like, no, he's not. He's just talking the truth. I mean, Manchester United never tried to play. I mean, they played on the counter-attack. They had a couple of chances on the counter-attack, and that was it. I mean, Liverpool, even when we were shite, even when we were absolute mud, when we were middle of the table dross and they were top of the table, we never went to Old Trafford and just parked the bus. No. Ever. We still played them.
In fact, we went to Old Trafford and beat them a couple of times.
Exactly. When we were like that. So I don't think that was arrogance. I think that was just stating how the game was, how the game went.
Obvious fact. Yeah. I noticed Phil Thompson came out yesterday and told Roy Keane to get a life.
Well, I think Roy Keane, obviously, man, he's doing. His producers are probably like saying, "But come on, you know, you got to go say something positive about United," and he did. And it makes great telly, doesn't it? I mean. But let's get back to this Arsenal Liverpool game, mate. What are you picking? What are your expectations? I think goals. There'll definitely be goals. Arsenal will come and play, so it should be a great game of football. What are your expectations? What's your prediction?
3-1 to Liverpool.
Ooh, that'd be lovely. That'd be lovely.
Yeah. 3-1 to Liverpool. I'm confident. And I noticed Jurgen's come out in the last day or so asking the crowd to get behind the team a bit more after a flat couple
of games
by the crowd in the last games, and basically saying to people, if you've got a season ticket and you're not up for it, give it to somebody else.
Yeah, I heard him. And I don't think it's the season ticket holders, though. I mean, I saw our old mate Chris Mitchell on one of our Facebook pages. He said that, and he made a really good point as well, that some people, you know, they only go one game. I mean, it's their pilgrimage. They go there one, and they don't understand the culture or the buy-in of that. Mind you, when I went there, I made a shitload of noise. So I've only been there once, but I honestly think if you are going all the way across the world, though, wouldn't you, when you get there, want to be engaged and want to make noise? Yeah. But also, we're talking about culture in 2023, and a lot of people just want to watch or video it on their bloody phone. I don't know why. They're going to pull that video out later on and show their mates, are they? I mean, I really don't understand that. I mean, I understand maybe filming You'll Never Walk Alone, but when the game starts, watch the game. But we're old fellas.
I know when I go to events like that, I do get the phone out right at the beginning.
Yeah.
But then I put it away and watch whatever I'm there to watch.
No, Trent's taking a corner. Quick. All these people like bending over, just, there he is. That was Trent taking a corner. I'm like, so?
What do you do?
Yeah, it's just strange, isn't it?
I can turn on Sky Sport and see that.
I know. It's strange. It's like you're at the game, feel the atmosphere, be there, connect with the players. And, you know, it's, I think that's just because we're older, though. I think that's people go now and they want to be entertained. And I think especially in that Liverpool-Man United game, because there were no goals, I think if we had have scored early, the atmosphere would have been completely different. It would have completely changed. Or even if they had have scored early, it would have, you know, flattened the atmosphere and probably got us yelling, got the crowd yelling more. It was because there was no goals. I think people were waiting to be entertained.
Yeah.
And they just weren't. And it just went, the atmosphere just went, and it just got worse and worse and worse. It just got flatter and flatter. But
it was quite loud in the first half.
It did, especially the first 10 minutes. That we just looked like we were laying siege to them. But then yesterday, that game, the FA Cup game, it seemed on TV at least that the crowd was pretty loud. I thought they were singing songs all game. I don't know whether that was after Jurgen's comments or before. I don't know, but
Not sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a point. Jurgen's always going on about this, though, isn't he? He's always got. He went on about the crowd when he first started, and he said, you know, we've got to disconnect, but we've got to reconnect with our people, doesn't he?
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
And this is probably the most important game of the year so far. So, I mean, I completely get that. I also noted he said it shouldn't take me to fight with the opposition manager for the crowd to get involved. You know?
Well, Arteta and him, they had a bit of a set to last time, didn't they?
Mikel Arteta's such a dick. The way he waves his arms around, he's a little Lego man, mate. That's what he reminds me of. He's got the Lego here. He looks like a little Lego man.
He's got chips on both shoulders.
Oh, such a dick.
Probably dates back to his time playing for the other crowd across Stanley Park.
Probably. I'd say. Actually, did you see the defense of theirs? You know, after he said that was absolutely disgraceful what happened, did you see the defense that Arsenal came out with? how their club posted a statement and said, oh no, because he's Spanish, the word in Spanish for disgrace is desgracia or something, and it's and it means something completely different. And what he said, and I'm like, hang on, Mikel Arteta's been in England for 20 years. He did the interview in English. And you were saying that it's I thought that was just taking it.
It's as bad as it was Gerard Houllier saying that Robbie Fowler's lines thing was because of a dance that Rigobert Song had done himself in Cameroon.
It's an African dance.
Yeah.
It's an African dance right there. Actually, it's more of a South American dance, and then more of a Colombian dance, more of a Colombian Peruvian marching powder dance.
Yeah,
exactly, man. I mean, I just don't know where they come up with some of this shit sometimes. And even Jurgen's guilty of it as well, man.
Of course he is.
Some absolute crap sometimes. The way that he goes on to journalists whenever they mention signings, I do not understand this. Mate, you've signed half your bloody team. There's only a couple of players there from Liverpool. You're always making signings. You're always selling and buying players. But whenever anyone in a press conference mentions something to Jurgen Klopp, oh, you're thinking of signing a player. Oh, I don't want to talk about, it's not about signings. It's not about who we can get. It's not about, he gets all upset all the time. I don't want to talk about signing. It's like, well, it's part of the game. Of course we want to, and everyone else is talking about it. So of course we want to hear what you've got planned. But he just seems to get so upset about signings. Oh, we're not talking about transfers.
Another thing that upsets him too is the old 12:30 kickoffs.
Oh, doesn't it?
We've got another one coming up.
He's got an excuse there though, because they do. We've had so many of them. It's ridiculous, and I sort of think the FA's almost taken the piss now. They go, yeah, we'll give another one to them.
Well, TNT Sports has given us another one when we play Brentford.
Ridiculous. I mean, considering the amount of international players we've got as well. But look, if Liverpool do beat Arsenal in the weekend 3-1, they will be top at Christmas, which guarantees absolutely nothing. Because I think the last time that the winner did at Christmas was not the leader at Christmas did not win the Premier League. The last 8 times there was a leader, it was either Arsenal or Liverpool. So Arsenal or Liverpool have led at Christmas the last 8 times and not won. Every other team that's led at Christmas has won in the last 25 years. So, I mean, Arsenal or Liverpool leading at Christmas, it means nothing. What about Man City, mate? I mean, they've been on a bit of a slide, haven't they? I mean, not in great form. Haaland looks like he's got a broken foot, I've heard. They're keeping it very, very quiet. He hasn't played the last 3 games. He didn't play against the Uruwara Reds the other day. He's cut his hair as well, I've heard.
Was he?
Looks German now, apparently. Very strange. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, they could come back from the Club World Cup and be 12 points behind.
Yeah.
Which regardless of what sort of run they go on, man, that's going to make it very, very difficult. And it looks like at least we've got a 3-horse race for the title, and maybe Tottenham as well. So
well, Villa are sticking around.
True. Villa look great, don't they? Unai Emery, hasn't he got them playing?
We've got them away the second to last game of the season.
Yeah, that could be definitely going for Europe, maybe going for the title. Who knows?
Yeah. Quite right. Anything else in the football world taking your fancy at the moment? Good to see Chelsea still stuttering.
Didn't they do well? The league. There was the League Cup, of course. We've got the League Cup semi-finals, which we're playing Fulham, aren't we?
Yep.
And Chelsea have got Middlesbrough. After Middlesbrough beat the mighty Port Vale, wasn't it? So Chelsea will probably make it through there. I was hoping we'd get Chelsea in the semi-final so that we could play them at Anfield. I thought we'd probably take them, and then the final should be given. But who cares? I mean, mate, if we take the silverware, the League Cup is one of the trophies that Liverpool hold really close to their heart. I mean, we never take it for granted. We're the most times winners, aren't we?
Yep, 9 times.
Yeah. So let's go for it, mate. Let's win the first silverware of the year. I can't wait for that semi-final. 2 semi-finals, isn't it? 2-legged semi-finals still?
Yeah, 2-legged.
Yeah. Home and away. So looking forward to that. Other than that, the Phoenix, of course.
Top of the table.
Both of them, and the woman as well. Woman playing well as well. Yeah, but the men. And then, of course, there's been an Auckland team announced. in the A-League.
Yes, that's all happened since we last spoke, hasn't it?
And, that's right. And we've announced the
coach has been named, and the first, the director of football has been named, and
yep. And they've got big money behind them as well. The owner of Bournemouth and the Las Vegas Golden Knights has come across and bought the franchise. Hopefully that means that they'll buy a couple of franchise players too, to just get a few people through the gates that aren't really football fans.
Foley has actually said that they'll be having their 5 overseas players and they'll fill 2 marquee spots.
Great.
Which is what you've really got to do for a new franchise.
Completely agree.
Actually, had an interesting chat with Paul Eiffel the other night.
Oh yeah,
we were talking about the current A-League, which he says, and I actually brought it up, and he agreed with me that the standard of the A-League is actually quite low this year. When you look, there's no real marquee players.
No.
There's no.
And there's not really marquee side either, really.
Yeah. No Diamante. No. I mean, probably the highest profile would be Fornaroli.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the sides, including the Phoenix, are really pushing the youth. Whether they want to turn the A-League into a development league or, I just don't know. But hopefully this guy Foley comes in and spends his money and creates a bit of a
I kick up the arse for the competition. I mean, that's the thing. If he does sign a couple of marquee players, they've got. I mean, Corica's a great coach, so if they can put together a really good roster and start winning games, and maybe even, I mean, look, we're a long way off, but create a dynasty of sorts. It should aspire the Phoenix to do better, because the Phoenix, the whole problem I've had with the Phoenix is there's just been too much staff to, turnover. It's hard to get behind the team when every week they're playing different players. I mean, they've got so much talent, and yet all the good young talent seems to piss off after a season or two, and then they don't ever sign a marquee, like someone that can just get people excited. They hardly ever do that, even if they're playing good football. And I think that sometimes it would just create a little bit more excitement and get people through the gate that don't want to, just to see the sport, hopefully Auckland can do that and give the whole competition a kick in the butt,
Yeah, well, I mean, you look, even in the history of the Phoenix, when they have had what you would call a marquee player, that player hasn't really performed. I mean,
no, true.
Guy Finkler, Carlos Hernandez, naming a couple.
Mind you, Paul Eiffel.
Oh, well, I was gonna actually follow that up and say Paul Eiffel, probably the best player ever to lace up his boots for the Phoenix.
He definitely is. I think so. I mean, maybe Krishna. You could say Krishna. I mean, Roy Krishna. I mean, he was a great goal scorer. I mean, not a fantastic player, but a great goal scorer. I mean, the amount of goals he scored for the Phoenix was just phenomenal. There's talk about him coming back, isn't there? Have you heard about that?
Yeah. I mean, I think he'll probably end up playing for the Auckland team.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, and you hear all these rumors about, Roy wants to come back to the A-League, but it sort of never eventuates, which sort of says to me that maybe when he left the Phoenix, he didn't quite leave on such great
good terms, which is a bit sad considering the sort of legacy you'd think he should have left.
Not that the Phoenix would ever say that, of course.
No, but the Phoenix, obviously they've got this new coach as well. He seems to have got them playing as a team and are playing good football, aren't they? They played really well the other night. I watched that game, and man. I mean, even Barbarouses knocked in a couple of goals after a bit of a goal drought. I mean, it's hopefully, good intentions for him. I just hope that he can continue that. Because he's a bit of hot and cold, isn't he, old Barbarouses? And I just think hopefully he goes on a run and keeps scoring goals.
He has actually been playing better this year because I think he's been playing in a bit of a
different position,
deeper role,
than
just playing right up front.
Yeah,
and he seems to be able to be a bit more creative from the deeper lying position, especially when you've got Zawada and Crave. Who
he played so well. That pass for the first goal was just fantastic. That second goal that Barbarouses scored was a great finish, though, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Just shows you what a predator he can be. So, onward and upward, man. Go the Phoenix. I mean, I love supporting New Zealand football, but you just don't get enough of it, do we? Especially in Auckland. So it'll be great. I can't wait. Where are they going to play? It's all up in the air. What are they going to be called?
Talk is Mount Smart Stadium.
Yeah, to start with, isn't it?
To start with, and then sort of, I think there's a lot of people around hoping that Foley will
build a stadium,
splash the cash and build a stadium.
Down the waterfront,
15,000 seat stadium.
That would be awesome. That would be so amazing. I mean, Auckland's needed that for so long.
Interesting to see that New Zealand Rugby's thrown its weight behind one of the options of a waterfront stadium.
Oh, well, that's doomed then.
Yeah.
if New Zealand Rugby's getting behind it, absolutely stuffed.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, in previous years, they've not supported anything really. They've sort of played Switzerland.
They have,
and not said anything. And of course, we had the great debate, and when the cereal man was
Dick Hubbard.
Dick Hubbard was the mayor of Auckland.
Let's do an 0800 number and see what people think. Oh, we've got 100,000 messages on here. I'll go through every one individually. We'll create a spreadsheet. Okay, 55% of the people say they don't want it. Okay, we're not doing it. Yeah, look, dude, that's not how you do politics. I mean, you fucking make a decision and you do it, and then people will judge you after. I mean, you've just got to have balls. I mean, and that was the problem. Our mayor didn't have balls and didn't get done. Imagine if it had got done then, He
was too busy making muesli.
Bugs and mud.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if it comes to fruition, I mean, I've been a critic of Eden Park for a long time. Not just for where it is, but getting in and out of it is just
type of stadium it is, and absolutely. Yeah,
it's sort of a bit.
It's a hodgepodge. It's a bit of this and a bit of that, isn't it? It's a bit of a Lego stadium, and it's in the wrong spot. I mean, either down the waterfront or where Carlaw Park would have been a primo spot like in Parnell. But I mean, anywhere downtown would be great. But well,
they're talking about the one of the sites is over where the railway lines are behind the old railway station.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. That's just empty, basically. I mean, with the inner city rail, if it ever gets done, it's perfect for it. You might actually rejuvenate. I mean, Queen Street, it just needs it. It just needs it. It's just dying. So, it will be fantastic, wouldn't it, to watch a game of sport close to town and then just walk. And all of a sudden you're in town, go to a bar, it'd just be freaking great.
Yeah.
Aucklanders have just missed out on that sort of thing for so long. I mean, we've been able to do it almost with concerts. I mean, you got the Spark Arena down there, if it's still called that, whatever it's called now. And that's a good sort of smallish venue. It is. When you go to concerts, it's great to be able to do that. But just something twice that size would be perfect.
Oh, absolutely. Bring on a new stadium, I say.
Absolutely, mate. Get it done.
Knock down Eden Park.
Yeah.
So since we last spoke, the Warriors have made a great signing, mate.
Haven't they?
Without getting into your highlights and lowlights and hopes for 2024.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit more about this Kurt Capewell.
Well, I mean, I love him. I love him as a player. He's 30 years old. He's a premiership winner. He won the premiership with Penrith a couple of years ago. And then obviously he went to the Broncos. And he's also a State of Origin winner. So, I mean, mate, he's played at the highest level. He plays 80 minutes every week. He probably makes 30 plus tackles every week. He's on the edge. The only thing is, a lot of people have said, what's going to happen to Jackson Ford? What's going to happen to Murata Nuakore? Dude, it's a good problem to have. You always get injuries. They're talking about moving maybe Murata Nuakore up to prop, so he'll be playing through the centre rather than on the edge. Mate, I'd love to have him. I mean, if he's running through the centre and you've got Capewell out wide, he's a great option, and he's so rangy. He's a rangy sort of player. He's got a bit of speed about him. A lot of people have also said, he's 30, what can he do? Mate, it's a perfect age.
Perfect age,
we've got such a young side. He's an older guy. People like Jackson Ford and those young guys coming through, they can learn a hell of a lot from a guy like that. We've got rid of Bailey Sirenen, of course, and Josh Curran. They've both taken off. Josh Curran has gone to Canterbury Bankstown and Bailey Sirenen to the Catalan Dragons. To me, he's a better version of both of them, and he plays more minutes. So you got rid of two players, and you're probably paying about the same to one guy who can do both roles. So I just think it's a great signing. A great signing for the Warriors. Can't wait, mate. Can't wait for the season.
And the Eden Fanua Blake situation's resolved itself.
It's not ideal, but
no.
Look, we got him for another year. He should be motivated to go out, a winner. We haven't got a player in that exchange, which is a bit of a shitter. I mean, he's going to the Sharks, if you haven't heard. Which is a bit of a. We were looking for an exchange of a player, but that's okay because he's the second highest paid prop in the NRL. We're paying him $1.2 million a year. I mean, that's a lot of money. So that's a shitload of money off our cap. And at least we're not paying the money. And we've already released him. We've done that in the past. So at least we'll pay the money this year. And I think Webster, I just trust our coach now. It's a bit like having a Klopp situation at Liverpool. You just sort of think, oh, shit, we haven't got a player in that position. Oh, I just trust our coach. We're going to sort it out. And I just think Webster's a bit like that. He'll either go to the youth. There's a couple of young guys in the under 21s who look really good. A young guy called Zion Mayu who looks phenomenal. But I mean, they're young guys you don't know. And Ali Lauati's nephew as well, Ali Lauatudu or something. I can't say his. I'm sorry. Apologies for assassinating that name, but his name's Ali as well. And there's some really good youth. And if they don't come through this year, I just think he'll go to the transfer market or go and get another player. We'll have cash in the bank to do it. Yep. So our team's looking great. And of course, we've also got Chanel Harris-Tavita coming back, which I'm really looking forward to seeing him. He's still a young man. He's only 23 years old, man. I mean, a very good defensive player. He should play a little bit of hooker, I'd suggest. Looks like I've got a courier at the door and the dog's decided to bark. He should play a little bit of hooker this year. He's great in defense. He's got a hell of a shoulder. And of course, the return of my boy Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, RTS.
Prodigal son returns.
Can't wait to see him in the centres, man.
Interesting to see what he said recently about
hang on, I got
the whole setup and the situation with with the coach saying that other occasions when he was playing for the Blues and Auckland and rugby and he'd sort of look at the organisation and go not really, and then when he sort of finally did make the decision, it was sort of like, well, I trust this guy seems to be straight up and I'm willing to give it another crack. And
well, mate, after
he would have got paid a hell of a lot more had he gone to the UK.
That's true. But I think he has unfinished business. He signed with the Warriors initially to bring a premiership to New Zealand for the first time. That didn't happen for a number of different reasons. We've got a way better roster now. We've got a coach who seems to know what he's doing. And of course, Roger last year, let's be honest, man, he would have watched the Warriors play those games and gone, oh my God, look at the way they're playing. And he was in a Blues side where it was just boring. I mean, and rugby isn't his sport. So that must have been enough motivation for him to go, oh man, I just want to play with them. I want to. So I can't wait. It's going to be a great year. I mean, look, we say it every year. Every year the Warriors fans say, it's our year. This year we can say it with actual real, not just hope. With a little bit of belief, with a little bit of belief, Yeah.
And we'll talk a bit more about that when we go through our hopes and dreams for 2024.
Hopes and dreams.
What is it? 20 to 11 on. We've got 4 days before Christmas.
Yeah.
And the Cricket World Cup and the Rugby World Cup are both finally finished.
Are they? I thought they were still going on. I know. God, they were long.
How did you think the Black Caps went?
I think they did pretty good. They started with the hiss and a roar, didn't they? They plateaued a little bit, but I think they did okay. I mean, they were on a hiding to nothing against India in that semi-final. Let's be honest, especially when they lost the toss. I mean, India have better spinners than us. We competed, but they scored too many runs. I thought our bowling was a little bit disappointing, but the wickets they were playing on, man. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, our bowlers aren't made to bowl on tarmac.
How many times do you go into a one-day international with 3 frontline spinners in your side?
In India, often. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And that Bangladesh game, the second test the other day, was a bit the same. That pitch was absolutely terrible. I mean,
worst pitch that Tim Southey's ever played on.
The best thing for me about that whole thing was that we won the game, because they set that pitch up for their bowlers, for their team, and we beat them. So that was a great result. But yeah, I think in the World Cup, our bowlers probably let us down a bit. I think that's probably, you could sum it up with that. And Rashan Ravindra. I mean, that's and Daryl Mitchell. Let's be honest, Daryl Mitchell and Rashan Ravindra, they were the headline acts as far as I mean, they were just phenomenal. Daryl Mitchell, my God, mate, he's turned into Bradman. I mean, he's just phenomenal, isn't he?
He certainly is. He had a great tournament, and Kane played pretty well too when he
did. He did. It was good. Well, when he got on the field, he finally gets on the field, and he's just freaky injuries, isn't it? I mean, he just seems to be involved in freaky incidents. So, I think we've still got a nucleus of a really good side there.
Yeah.
Some of the selection things I'm still sometimes question, but hey, it is what it is.
It is quite right.
We've still got a side. We've still got a cricket side that can at least compete with the top nations, most days, which you can't complain about at all.
Good to see some of the new boys getting games at the moment in the one days against Bangladesh. Like the look of this, the leg spinner that played in Nelson the other day, Ashok.
Oh, mate.
He went for 60 odd runs, but gee, his bowling was pretty good. And
mate, anytime we can get a leg spinner in the side, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Put him in. Hey, and some of the quickies look good too. Some of those young boys. It's just good to see new faces, because sometimes, especially in the last few years, it seems to have been a little bit of closed shop with selection, So I don't know how long Henry Nicholls is going to stay in the side. I mean, he just seems to score a century for just when he needs it, just as he's about to get dropped, doesn't he? And stay in the side for the next 3 or 4 years.
I don't. You're probably old enough to remember him, but John Parker was a player.
Of course.
He gave a string of low scores, and the media would be saying, he can't have too many chances left, and he'd go out and score runs. Just at the right, he had a knack of knowing when to score runs.
He did. I'll tell you what, if Henry Nicholls turns into half the commentator that John Parker was, he'll go bloody well. Because John Parker was John Parker, Jeremy Coney, there was 3 of them, when Brian Waddle, the 3 of them, weren't they? Absolutely fantastic commentary. But John Parker, you're exactly the same. He was that sort of guy. He used to just score enough runs when he needed it, didn't he? And to stay in the side.
Yeah, so I must say I'm not overly enjoying the commentary on TVNZ Plus with
Scotty Stevens. He's got him. No, he doesn't. Yes, he does. What's he done? Not sure.
And Mark Richardson should just shut up.
Dude, I don't know. No, come on. It's commentary for 2024, mate. They've got all the bases covered. Some of the, actually, to be fair, I think I enjoy a couple of the ladies better than most of the guys on there. Scotty Stevenson, look, I don't mind him fronting the cricket, but what's he doing commentating it? Honestly, he doesn't know enough about cricket. He just doesn't. Some of the things he says embarrass me, and I think sometimes it sounds like they embarrass the other commentators. So I've got nothing against him personally. I just think you shouldn't be telling me, because I know more about cricket than you. So anyway.
I must say it's quite a turnaround, actually, because I have been enjoying listening to the Fox cricket commentators.
Yeah, they've completely changed, haven't they? From the 9. Remember how biased the 9 guys used to be? So with Mark Nicholas up front. And
you don't like to diss
sycophants,
people who have passed away, but I mean, Warning wasn't exactly the greatest commentator.
It's just they were all sycophants, mate. They were. They were just all like suck up to the Aussie cricket team, really, hasn't it? The greatest thing since of course, Australia did win. They did win the World Cup, didn't they? We better doff our cap to them and say, well done, well played. You're a great bunch of cricketers. You're a terrible gang of lads, but you're a great bunch of cricketers. Terrible bunch of lads. I mean, honestly, one of the worst sporting teams in all sports the Australian cricket team.
I did notice that Kerry O'Keefe had a crack at Ian Smith.
He did on the first morning.
On the first morning of the first test. Who was he talking about? Sunil Gavaskar wouldn't eat for 48 hours after getting out.
That's right. He had seven brothers or something like that. And if India lost a test, he'd fast for 3 days. And then he turned to Ian Smith and said, So what did you do? What did you do when New Zealand lost the Test, Smithy?
Eat.
Then he goes, you started already. All he needs to do is crack on about his hair. I mean, at least Smithy's still got some hair on his head.
Still got a head of hair.
Yeah, that was great. That was great, Bance. I mean, they're both great. They're both great to listen to, those guys. Anyway, I mean, they don't take themselves too seriously. But Smithy's great to listen to about anything. I could listen to him read the phone book, mate.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, quite right.
Yeah,
quite right. Get him back to New Zealand cricket.
Absolutely, get him on Sky. I mean,
yeah. Anyway,
place cricket.
It's nearly the end of the year, and it is in a few days. So let's go back and have a look at some of our highlights and lowlights from 2023.
All right.
I'll start with my first highlight,
and
that was the new baseball rules, which brought into effect this year with a pitch clock, larger bases, and making the shift illegal. It's actually taken the game not the whole way, but it has taken it back to more of what the game used to be, i.e., getting runners on base, bringing them home, what they call small ball, runners stealing bases. We saw a couple of steals of home plate this year.
Yeah.
And it's just starting to get away from the
just home runs.
Well, strikeout or home run.
Yeah.
Strikeout numbers were down for the first time in a very long time. And home run numbers weren't what they have been. So, yeah, it's good to see. Actually, I was going to talk about the silly season of baseball before we got on to highlights and lowlights, because we saw the Japanese super megastar Shohei Ohtani.
We did.
Signed a contract, $700 million for 10 years.
Is that a highlight for you?
No.
That is ridiculous.
Especially because it was the Dodgers.
So he was with the Angels, the Angels of Anaheim, and so he's just moved up the road, hasn't he, to LA?
Yeah.
The Dodgers, and he signed a contract for how much, did you say?
$700 million over 10 years. But not all of that $70 million per year goes against the competitive balance amount for tax purposes. It's effectively a salary cap, but it's not a salary cap. So if your payroll goes over, I can't remember the exact figure, but it's about, let's just say, for example, it's 250 million. If your annual salary goes over 250 million, whatever you go over it, and you pay tax, and that tax is divvied up amongst all the franchises that go under the competitive balance total.
Yeah.
But not 70 million a year is not going to go against Ohtani, because 680 million of that amount is being deferred until the end of the contract. So for the next 10 years, Ohtani is going to be paid $2 million per year.
Where's he going to live?
Oh, I have no idea.
$2 million?
You're not going to be able to find somewhere to live in Los Angeles.
He'll be on the 2-minute noodles. He's
So following the first years 11 through 20, he'll be getting paid 68 million, but he won't be playing by then because he'll be 39, 40. But MLB have arbitrarily come up with a figure of 46 million will go against the Dodgers payroll. How they work that out, I have no idea. So it still means that, they can spend money, even though they don't tend to bother about the competitive balance total, because who's one of their owners? Todd Bowley, who spends money like it's going out of fashion for the Chelsea
as well.
Club. So,
nuts.
Yeah, the other big news is Juan Soto, the 25-year-old being traded from the Padres to the Yankees. He's only got 1 year before he becomes a free agent, so I'm guessing the Yankees will probably try and sign him to a long-term contract.
Are you happy with that?
I'm very happy with that.
Yeah.
I'll be even happier if they can sign him to a long-term contract. But his agent is a guy by the name of Scott Boras, and it's all about Scott Boras. It's got nothing to do with the player. So Scott Boras will hold out until the end of the year, so then it becomes a bidding war with all the other franchises. He won't want to be giving one franchise an opportunity when, hey, 30 can be involved and I can make more money.
Well, It's probably his job, really. Let's be honest. You know, get the most amount of money for his client and the most amount of money for him. I mean, that's the way they work, isn't it? So, so one of your highlights though is definitely the rule changes, and I completely agree. As far as I don't watch a shitload of baseball, but when I do, it's definitely improved the product for me. I mean, as a casual watcher, I think, you know, before, you know, watching home runs is great, but it's not the be all and end all of baseball. Especially, I think what it's brought back is more athleticism, a little, you know, more great outfield catches, and it just and the running between the bases, the stealing of bases. That's great to watch, man. So, it's great to see. It's great to see that.
And game times, they reckon, have been reduced by an average of about 20 to 25 minutes.
Yeah,
you know, so it's for the, I guess, for the younger crew that
the TikTok generation,
generation. That, you know, they've only got the memory span of a few minutes.
That's right. They can watch 5-second chunks of it. Oh, there's the hit. Oh, there's what was the score? Okay, done. Yeah. That's
anyway. What was your first highlight of the year?
Well, there's 17 is a key number in my life. I was born on the 17th, and this year the Warriors won 17 games. So those were my highlights. All 17 games. Basically, my team is on the up. My team is competitive. They're in every game. They never got thrashed. But perhaps the one moment of that occurred the day before my birthday on the 17th of September. On the 16th of September, at around 6 p.m. when the final whistle was blown, and the Warriors had beaten the Newcastle Knights at Mount Smart Stadium. As a matter of fact, they thrashed the Newcastle Knights in a semi-final, their first home semi-final in bloody ages. And 26,000 people busting out into the Warriors song all together. We are the Warriors. We are the team. And it was just fucking awesome. And seeing Sean Johnson and them walking around the field and looking around and just saying, look at this, man. There's 26,000 people. No one's left. Everyone's singing our song. We believe in the Warriors. And that was, for me, that was my highlight, man. I just watching the Warriors this year.
Yep.
I've got a courier package at the door. Keep talking. Just 1 second.
Yeah, well, I'll go on to my next highlight. And I actually have put the All Blacks play at the World Cup following the opening game defeat to France. I thought after that game against France, we actually played pretty well and got right through to the final, which obviously we won't talk about too much. But the play against especially Ireland in the quarterfinal, that was a massive game for the All Blacks. And even in the group games after, as I said, after the defeat to France, really thought we put the foot down against those lower sides, Uruguay and even Italy, who, you know, had gone to the World Cup thinking that they were in the group of death, but really they just got trampled by us and France. And I actually thought the All Blacks played really well in those, just taking out the first and the last games.
No, that Ireland game, for me, they definitely exceeded expectations. I think everyone, they played so well. The end of it was pretty nail-biting as well. But yeah, man, I think they did really well. I mean, I think this is the first time the All Blacks haven't won the World Cup that we've all just gone, oh, well, you know. Oh, well, they did well anyway. It was hard to take the final, you know. And that was actually one of my lowlights, especially the try that I was going to say that. And really, one of my lowlights isn't really that. It's more the rules of rugby. I mean, they just need to sort them out. The sport's just changed to such an extent that I don't even recognize it anymore. And there's certain things in it that just don't make sense. The high tackles, the sending people off for silly things, and just stuffing up the game all round. So for me, that's one of my lowlights is the game itself. It needs to be better administered, and the rules need to be sorted out. So
absolutely, quite right. Another highlight for you.
New Zealand 30, Australia 0. That was pretty bloody good, mate. That was pretty bloody good, given the hand in that to the Aussies. Far out, man. They played so well in that game. And it really just showed you where the Kiwis can be when they've got a good coach, they've got a good plan, they've got good players in every position. We're just as good as Australia. And we don't have to have a chip on our shoulder anymore about it. So that was another highlight for me. International Rugby League making a comeback. There should be more of it. I don't know whether there ever will be, because it's just not marketable like the NRL, and Origin. Origin's always going to be held up as their, pinnacle product. But if we can keep beating them like that, we'll give them cause to think, won't we? So that was another highlight for me, mate.
Yep. My next highlight is the naming of Scott the Razor Robertson.
Oh, definitely.
As the All Blacks coach for next year.
Now, we aren't the lone wolves in this, but I would say after the World Cup, would you say that we are perhaps still outlier? I think there was a big push after the, well, imagine if we had have won the World Cup. Do you think Foster would? See, everyone was saying if the All Blacks win the World Cup, Foster will have to be knighted. That was the first thing everyone was talking about. Oh, he'll have to be knighted. And what would you consider his legacy be to the All Blacks if we had won the World Cup? Would you think that he'd done a great job? See, I still don't think it matters. I mean, to me, I still think he stuffed up in a number of areas, and I don't really care. So for me, and you, I'm glad we both think in the same way. For me, this is a great appointment. It's going to mean a whole different type of All Black team, isn't it, mate?
Yep. So, absolutely.
Bravo.
And you look at all the number of players that are gone now from the All Blacks, Sam Whitelock, Brodie Retallick, Aaron Smith, to name a few. Razor's got a big job. And
he does, man.
Just the right person to do it.
Exactly.
And there's going to be some competition for some of those places. I mean, Cam Roigard really came on in 2023, and TJ Perenara is back. He wants his Hurricanes and All Black jerseys back.
Well, good luck. The thing is with Razor, man, he picks on form. He doesn't give a shit what your name is, honestly. Yep. He picks the best players, and if he doesn't like a player, he goes and finds another one. He's a bit like Webster in that regard. I have faith that he will find a player that I probably still haven't heard of that will be the star of the next World Cup. I mean, that's the sort of guy he is. So, yes, he's got a big, big job, but you're right. He's the right guy for it, eh?
Mm. What's your next highlight?
Well, I liked the way that the Black Caps beat the English this year at the Basin. I absolutely loved that third test when we beat them, because it looked like we were absolutely no chance. That was a nip and tuck type of game, wasn't it? So I absolutely loved us beating them in that.
Yeah. Well, especially after they thrashed us in the first test.
Absolutely. Looked like we didn't have a shit show.
And those last three tests of the calendar, of last season, where Williamson just took over the responsibility of winning games.
Yep.
After he'd had the captaincy taken off him, I still can't work out why that happened.
Once again, the selection I don't really get. But what a test match that was at the Basin. I mean, more tests at the Basin. Why don't we play all tests from now on at the Basin? I mean, let's just play them all there. That was a fantastic. I love that. But also, I'm just going to give a quick mention, another highlight. Ryan Fox at the Masters.
Yeah.
Wow, what a performance from him, man, going all 4 rounds, and he was only a few shots behind at the end there. After the third round, I thought, we might be in with a show, but probably his whole year. I mean,
I'm just going to say you could put his whole year into that basket.
Yeah, he's really moved up a level, hasn't he?
I think he's 20-something in the world now,
mate. And that means, it only takes a couple of good results and you're in the top 10, and mate, you'll make it. Well, he already is making serious coin, let's be honest. But if he could win a major though, bro, that puts him right up there with all-time New Zealand sporting achievements, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Another highlight for me has been Liverpool's turnaround and rebuild after a horrid 2022-23 season.
Yeah.
The 2020 that last season is in my lowlights, but I've got them in the highlights for the way Klopp has rebuilt that midfield. And Szoboszlai, McAllister, and Endo, I think, have all fitted in seamlessly. Yeah. As you mentioned, Gravenberg's still got a wee way to go. I think he'll get there.
Yeah, this time
he's good enough.
He's a young man.
Have the right attitude.
He's definitely got the physique. I mean, he's got all the attributes. He's great technique. You can see it. He's Dutch. I mean, It's just, I don't know, just a little bit up top for him. But you're right. The midfield rebuild has been amazing. How quick it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, just the fact that the Arabs came in and grabbed two of our guys, that we thought, okay, well, they're both going to be there. We've got rid of a few others, but at least we'll have Henderson and Fabinho. But both of them were terrible last year. So, and McAllister, I still feel sorry for him. That goal he scored the other day, mate. I just want him playing, box to box move. I don't want him defending in the midfield. If you want a defensive midfield, play Hendo, right? I mean, free McAllister.
I think it seems to me that Klopp is gaining more and more confidence with Endo in that role.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so.
So hopefully we can, when McAllister comes back from injury, it's going to be hard because
it is.
You mentioned Curtis Jones is playing out of his skin.
Absolutely. And he's great defensively as well. I mean, he does the work,
Yep. And Harvey Elliott's been playing well too.
Man, he played well yesterday, didn't he? He's really improving, eh? Yep. He's about a 5'4" guy that plays like he's 6'4", eh? He does. He's just a little bundle of energy, a little nugget of energy. I really like him. But you're right. Our
that winning goal he got against Crystal Palace was
that was a beauty. I mean, last minute, as well. Yeah. It makes it absolutely stunning. No, our midfield rebuild's been fantastic. Although sometimes with the shape we're playing, I don't know, man. I mean, it's all for one guy. It's all for Trent, isn't it? It's all to invert that fullback and put him in midfield. Why don't we just put him in midfield and play Joe Gomez at right back sometimes? I just think, why do we have to keep putting him out? And then we rely so much on that right centre back having to get out to those other areas, Yeah. I just sometimes think we haven't got enough cover down that right side. But when Ibu's fit, I mean, he can do it. But what about poor old Joel Matip, mate? What about him? He's probably played his last game for
probably has played his last game for the Reds. Yeah, it's sad because he is a quality player.
And he'd been playing so well, really, this year compared, to last year, especially. And I just thought, really sorry for that guy. I mean, he's been a great servant for us, and not the best of times sometimes. And
the irony is, in his previous club, Schalke, he'd actually never missed a game through injury.
Crazy.
Before he moved to Liverpool.
Crazy. He missed a few for us, didn't he?
He has, anyway. My next highlight was undoubtedly popping on the big silver bird and popping across to Adelaide for the supercars. Around. Yeah. It was
Tell me about your trip, mate. Tell me about your trip.
Oh, it was just amazing. And they had the Australian Air Force were showing off their brand new fighter jet. And I couldn't tell you, something 35A, F-35A or something. But my God, the sound of that thing was just unbelievable. It was like a bomb going off.
It was like Aaron at the rugby.
Oh, mate, you're nothing compared to this bloody fighter jet. Incredible, because it would come in stealthily, you could hear it until it got to you, and then it would just do a steep incline and boom.
Oh, wow.
I tell you what, I literally nearly shit myself because I didn't see it coming.
That could have caused problems at customs, mate. I mean,
it was nearly Michelle. Need some help here.
How was your view of the racing?
Oh, we had a great view on the Sunday. We were in the pit lane exit suite.
Yeah,
and paid a pretty penny for it, mind you.
Oh,
but just a great view, absolutely stunning, and just we're like 10 yards away from the cars,
nice.
If that, and the noise, man, it's just when they fly past. It's
you're turning into a bit of an old petrol head in your old age, aren't you, mate?
Bit of a petrol head.
I think you need to grow your hair a little bit longer at the back there, boy.
Party at the front, business at the front, party at the back.
Absolutely, mate. A bit like Greyfriars.
And I'm going to sneak my last highlight of the year in.
Go on.
And it's one you probably wouldn't think of, but I actually really enjoyed the Women's FIFA World Cup this year.
Yes.
I thought it was a fantastic event. Going to the games, the quality of football was outstanding. There was no players diving all over the place and feigning injury and crap.
The VAR worked.
VAR worked because they had decent people reviewing.
Oh, and the automated offsides. Who knew that?
And the automated offsides. Crikey.
Yeah. I think the key thing with the Women's World Cup for me, the thing that sort of says it all, I was down at your birthday during one of the games down in Greytown for one of the games with all your guests, and everyone was talking women's football. Even, people that don't have any interest in, even partners of our friends who have no interest in sport. Well, it's been great. I've been so I think that really illustrated to me how much it caught on. It really did. Everyone was talking about it.
If you remember, the music actually stopped for 10 minutes because there was a penalty shootout.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody was looking at it on their phones.
Exactly. It was exciting. Everyone was engaged. The crowds were fantastic.
Crowds were unbelievable.
New Zealand crowds decided, yes, we can make some noise and have some fun in a football stadium. It was a fantastic event, and the economic benefits of that will be reaping for years to come as well. By the sound of it, that's just come out recently as well, hasn't it? The economic report made millions and millions and millions of dollars from that, and I know Birkenhead United, just up the road from where I live, are still reaping the benefits of that. Fantastic new club rooms,
clubs in Auckland and in Wellington too. So they're my highlights for 2023. Have you got any more to?
I've got one more, mate. Israel Adesanya. I know you're not a massive fan of the UFC. You call it, what do you call it, jail violence or something?
Prison fighting.
But I did love it how he got his own back on Alex Pereira after he basically got knocked out by this guy, and then he came back and knocked him out himself, which was fantastic. In UFC 287, it was in April. Absolutely loved that. That was a real highlight. A low light, though, was him getting his own beans when the stupid cowboy knocked him out not too long ago. So, Israel Adesanya, I still think he's someone in New Zealand that is underappreciated. I think, he says some stupid shit, but he's a fighter. And I think we should appreciate him for what he does. So, is he still in your corner, buddy? And there's big fights happening. Joseph Parker tonight, isn't there? Overnight this weekend. Yeah, he's taking on Deontay Wilder. I don't know how he's going to do against that guy. That guy's got about 10-foot arms. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, he's about half a foot taller than Joseph Parker as well, but it'll be really interesting to see how he goes. So Team Parker all the way there as well. So there you go.
Quite right. Now the low lights. I mean, we could probably go on about some of these low lights for hours, but I think the top one for both of us, probably VAR, PMO, bunker, call it what you like, but it's a complete stain on the games involved. As I've said on a number of occasions, all sports brought in the technology to get rid of the howler, only to be used when supposedly the on-field officials had made I'm going to say this slowly, clear and obvious error. But because humans are still making decisions, it hasn't made any difference. We still see howlers a la Rugby World Cup final, just about every Warriors game, and not just Warriors games. There were some shocking decisions in some of the other league games. We've seen it in the football, the Liverpool Spurs game, Brighton Man United game, the Wolves Man United game.
The Liverpool Tottenham game. I mean, that was the worst one of all, wasn't it? I mean, it's process. It's, it's there for the right reason, but it's just being utilized completely wrong. Like we were saying, the Women's World Cup seemed to get the VAR right. I mean, I just don't understand why it can't be done very similarly. It's basically egos, isn't it? I think that's ultimately what it is.
They've overcomplicated the whole thing. I've overthought it.
We can do it better. We can do it better than you.
If you just take it to a basic level, and like Neil Warnock reiterated it the other day, maximum of 30 seconds to make a decision for the VAR. If you can't see something in 30 seconds, it's not a clear and obvious error.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is a stain on the game.
And what game was it the other day? The Liverpool against Crystal Palace.
It was
the game went on for a minute 45,
and then they stopped it and set a penalty. To be fair, it was a penalty, but why the hell couldn't they have awarded that 10 seconds after it happened? What was happening?
Well, the game played on.
But hang on. In the Tottenham game, we played on for about 30 seconds after we scored a legitimate goal, and they said, no, that's gone too far. So what's the difference? What's too far? I mean,
the question I had was, was that 1 minute 45 put back on the clock?
It's disappeared. It's in the twilight zone.
So it never happened.
No, it never happened. Never happened. It's ghostly.
So from the time that Kwanzaa hit Mateta's leg, nothing happened.
No, imagine if it had rebounded up the other end and we had scored a goal. I mean, that would have stopped the game. So
the game.
That would have helped them.
Yeah.
Ironically enough. No, you're right. Sort it out, especially in football and rugby and rugby league. I just think that cricket's got it better. I mean,
cricket has actually got it right, I think.
But it's a different sort of sport. You're dealing with cricket, you're dealing with absolutes. You're not dealing with interpretation, especially when it comes to where the ball's going to track and all, in cricket, in rugby league and football, there's so much interpretation involved. One person can be watching it on a screen and go, oh, yes, he's done this. Whereas the person on the ground can say, oh, no, I thought something else happened. Ultimately, I think you've got to, I just wish in football, they could just go, okay, the ref's going to referee this game. And if he needs some help, he will ask.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely. Same in rugby. Same in rugby. And
instead
also
of
if I'm the referee.
That's right.
The game is under my control.
Yep. I didn't see that.
If I need help,
I'll ask
for it.
Yeah. I can't see how that would be a bad thing.
Yeah.
Putting that, at least then you'd say, okay, well, that guy made that decision. As it is at the moment, it's like going, okay, I've made a decision. Then the VAR guys checks it and they go, oh, you might want to check that yourself. Go down and check the monitor. 99.9% of the time, he's basically saying, you fucked up, mate. Go and check the monitor and change your decision. Because how many times they go to the thing and they go, no, I'm sticking with my decision? Never. Very rarely.
Very rarely.
So basically, it's being refereed by two people. That's what's happening at the moment. And just take it all out of that. Make it the referee. He can say, and so once he's awarded a penalty, he can say, okay, I'm sticking with that decision regardless. I don't even need to go up. I saw that as a penalty. Or he can go, no, I've awarded a penalty, but can you just check that for me? He can ask. I think that would take some of it out of it. So,
And I mean,
sort it out.
Watching the Carabao Cup games over the last couple of days with no VAR.
Yeah. Interesting,
It is. It's quite, and I watched a championship game, Birmingham and Leicester the other day.
It's great,
Oh, it's so good just watching the game. And, you've only got, it's back to, 2 minutes injury time and, 3 minutes at the end of the game, rather than, because VAR's got so involved, it's, there's 9 minutes injury time in the first half. And
there was a little bit in yesterday's game. There was where Darwin ran through. Did you see in the first half? And it looked to me like he was onside, and the ref and the the linesman raised his flag. And I thought, what the hell has he raised his flag for? And then it went to the ref, and he looked like, to me, he was marginally onside. But I thought, oh well, I'm willing to take that because there might be another one we get later on where he's slightly offside, and the ref and the touchy thinks, oh no, I think that's onside. So you just go, okay, that guy's made that decision, and you just accept it. I think we're able to accept it a little bit more now that we've seen how VAR works, as opposed to before VAR even existed. Back then we were like, why the fuck can't they get it right? They're in the Premier League. Get 99% of them right. Nowadays we're like, oh, it's just human error. We're prepared to accept that a little bit more, aren't we?
Yeah, it's quite right. What's your first low light?
Well, I don't have too many low lights, to be fair. I mean,
that's good.
I love most sports, I mean, I could say there's a few commentators I dislike. I could say, I could say a number of things about sport that I haven't agreed with. I mean, and I, like you say, the VAR thing's the big one for me. Really, really didn't like that. I just don't like the way they're doing that. The other big one for me, and I mentioned this earlier, I mean, this is probably my biggest, and I mention it bloody every podcast, the rules of rugby. And that to me was the biggest, I'm falling out. I've generally fallen out of love with rugby. And the Rugby World Cup sort of got me back engaged a little bit. The pool games didn't help because 1 week between each game and playing a different team, it was just the format of it. So I just think the rules of rugby need to be sorted out, and the people at the top of the game need to just sort out what they want to do. I mean, this Now they're going to do it every 2 years. Have you seen this? Between every World Cup, they're going to have instead of the tours thing, they're going to have a supplementary. What the fuck? Just go back to tours. Tours were what
it's like football having the European Nations League, because they want to have something.
They don't on every game.
Yeah,
they don't want friendlies.
Don't want friendlies.
Rugby's never had friendlies. You know,
no, they have.
Yeah, they
test
never
matches, test series. They're all friendly. They
whatever, eh? Look, so every single test series between New Zealand and South Africa before World Cups were friendlies. Yeah, okay.
Well, they didn't go towards a World Cup or
a
championship or something like that.
Yeah, I know you're playing the devil's advocate. I know you are. But it's ridiculous. For me, though, rugby is a unique sport. The way that it focuses on the international game. Yes, it has club stuff, but the international game is the pinnacle, and that is quite unique amongst sports that we watch. So, except for cricket, I guess. So, for me, you've got to get back to that touring. For me, the touring was what made the sport special. Oh my gosh, the Irish are going to come to New Zealand and they're going to tour around for 2 months and they're going to visit towns, and the whole of the community of New Zealand's going to get into it. You know, that's to me, that to me is what rugby is. I mean, not having a manufactured tournament in a manufactured place, you know, it seemed for a manufactured cup.
Oh, exactly.
You know, So once again, the rules, the touring, I just think rugby's got to get, to me, rugby was the big disappointment in 2023, which is sad, really, because it was a World Cup year.
Hopefully that'll turn around this year or next year. And I noticed they have made some more, not really rule changes, but just the TMO will be less involved in Super Rugby Pacific, and a couple of other little tweaks here and there that basically put the onus back onto the on-field referee. I think they basically said that TMO will only get involved for tries and when they're asked by the referee.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. But I mean, I guess
let's hope that happens. A couple of little lowlights for me, I guess. Being in Adelaide for the Supercars, I really wanted to see Shane van Gisbergen do something in those last two races. He was obviously taken out on corner 3 of the first race on Saturday, which I was gobsmacked when I saw that, because it was just, we didn't even get to see him come around to our corner. We were at turn 11.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And I guess the whole Gen 3 cars, I think they've probably had a few too many teething problems this year. There's not really been parity between the Chevys and the Fords. If you look at all the results, the Chevys have won most races, and it was only really until the last round that the Fords finally gained some parity, because they did some wind tube tunnel testing. They've now carried on for the 2024 year. The other two we've already talked about, the Rugby World Cup final and Liverpool's last season. So that's pretty much it for lowlights.
Maybe another low light for me, I've just thought of it, maybe just Man City and all those pending charges. Just get on with it. You know, Everton lose 10 points for one charge. They've got 90-something charges, and they're going to push it out because they've got flash lawyers to 2027 or something. And by then, look, all these charges only go up to 2019 or 2018 anyway. They've probably broken the law, another whatever. We know they're cheating. Just deal with it. I mean, I just want them, whatever they have, it just needs to be done. You know, I just hurry up and get that done. So money and sport. There you go. That's another thing. Just
Saudi washing.
Yeah, sports washing. It's sad.
Sports washing, the live golf thing. You know, John Rahm going because he's getting $400 million and saying it's going to create a better legacy for golf. Fuck off.
Yeah, but that's why Jordan Henderson's gone as well, to sort of preach the LGBTQ gospel in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, that's why you've gone there, mate. And Saudi Arabia getting the World Cup now as well, because they were the only ones that applied. Well, why would anyone else? Why would anyone else bother? I mean, so once again, this is just all about money, really, isn't it? How just sickly, how money can just rule a sport. And golf was one of those this year, wasn't it? I mean, the PGA Tour basically saying we'll never do a deal with those guys, and them walking in with 50 massive bags of money and them going, no. And then another 50 bags of money, and then going, no. And then another 50. Okay.
Well, that deal's only got a week left before it needs to be signed off. They've got till the 31st of December, but as a couple of golfers on the news said last night, including Ryan Fox, said, I'm sure they'll just extend the deadline.
Of course they will.
Some hopes for 2024. I've just got 3 here. Well, 4, because one's a double up. Liverpool a Premier League title. 49ers a Super Bowl ring.
Ooh.
A better performance from the Yankees. See, I didn't even say a World Series.
No, you didn't.
I just want a better performance.
Just an improvement.
Yeah.
Just make the playoffs.
And less interruption from the VAR TMO bunker.
Absolutely. I go along with all of those except the Yankees one. And for me, of course, it's our year, the Warriors. I mean, 2024, it just looks so hopeful. I mean, it looks more hopeful. It's the hope that kills you, you know. I mean, it always is in every sport, isn't it, mate? Liverpool for a Premier League title. It could be the closest, most hard-fought Premier League title between the most teams ever.
Yep.
But also because all the top teams are sort of taking points off each other, it could be fantastic. So I'm just looking forward to a great Premier League battle. Yep. I would just absolutely. I mean, I could die a happy man if the Warriors win a premiership. You know, I could probably, you know, just smile and take my last breath and just say thank you, Lord, thank you, rugby league gods. Well, I might be 80 by the time it happens, though, mate. So who the fuck knows?
Well, that pretty much wraps it up for 2023. Certainly from me, I'd like to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas. And
absolutely.
It's too late to get your orders in now for Christmas, but make sure you get on to vibranceGifts.co.nz and purchase a wee book called Life Isn't Fair.
Yeah, great read.
As we know, life isn't fair, but I'm having a bloody good crack at it. What about you, Mahona?
Absolutely, mate. I'm having a crack at it, and I think I'm doing, well, I don't know, it's a solid C+, isn't it? Look, I want to wish everyone a happy Christmas as well. Happy Hanukkah, happy holidays, whatever. We don't want to offend anyone, but whatever you're doing. Exactly. Whatever you're doing around this beautiful country of ours, you know, we're all, if you're in this country of ours, you know, we're all blessed to be living here. Let's just, you know, take this time to spend some time with the people you love and think about how bloody lucky we are to be living in this country, because it's a great country and you know, compared to what's going on in the rest of the world, mate, you know, peace, love, understanding and tolerance.
Yeah. Quite right. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We will see you in 2024 with more editions of the Hot Air Sports Podcast.
Go get some.
Goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye.